I mean, what's happening? This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, episode number. Where are we on this journey? Episode number 303. That's the reality. Motherfucking 303. Crazy. It's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing good things and good things are coming to you. I hope that you are telling your loved ones that you love them. And I hope that you are being grateful for the good things in your life. Welcome back. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Yes, sirree. What's going on? Rich Zoller, what's up, man? Good, good. Hey, Alan. Yeah. Pete Stahl from my favorite hard DC core band of all. Yeah, I got you. Alan, I got you on this one, brother. I got you. Hey, what's happening in South Florida, Thomas? I've often wondered this. Where in South Florida are you? Shout out to Women of the Pit. Yo, Paul Stone, I know you're psyched on this one. I know. England checking in. Good. Ray Hogan says he has a good feeling about this one. I got a pretty good feeling about this one, too. You know? Dan Nace, my man, what's up? Yeah. So, hey, London. Go ahead, London. What's happening? Yeah, I know. I've been doing some homework on this, and I'm looking forward to it. Long Island in the house. Yeah. Whoa. Hello from the Jersey Channel Islands. Wow. I don't know much about the Jersey Channel Islands. Yes, Dogtown 16V, Scream, Wool, that and a whole lot more, you know. Port St. Lucie. There you go. I know exactly where Port St. Lucie is. My kid lives in Port St. Lucie, along with my ex-wife. And the New York Mets do spring training in Port St. Lucie. I am very familiar with Port St. Lucie. So that said, that's right. I hear you, Pete. Zappas. I have some Zappa stuff. We'll talk about that when you come on. Sure. Absolutely. Hey, that said, speaking of coming on.
Hello. Got a very good feeling about this episode.
I've got a good feeling about this.
Luckily, no one's ever said, I got a really bad feeling about this episode.
I got a bad feeling about this motherfucking episode, man. I don't know. Listen, when I have a bad feeling about something, I don't talk about it, you know?
That's right. Keep it inside.
Could you clarify something for me?
Sure.
Behind you is like is that the outgoing box or that's the other side? The other side.
Oh, this is master mechanic stuff.
And there's nothing in there.
No, because it's the end of the day.
Okay.
Business has been taken care of. Okay,
so now we're just fucking off and getting paid to come on Drew Stone's show.
That's right.
Good.
That's right.
All right.
I had to chase people out of here. I had to see if I can go through my whole segment without being interrupted.
Lori Dawn asks, how's Caleb doing? My son Caleb he's doing well. He's actually he's moving out to Hollywood, and he's going to be air mattressing it on my brother's floor for a while as he makes a go at it in LA. So we're sponsoring him. He's going to go out there. He's going to rough it on Evan B. Stone's floor. I'll see him when we play out there next month. You know,
following in the family footsteps.
Yeah. Yep. That's
actually didn't we meet one of your brother's friends from Turkey at that last show?
That was crazy. No.
Yeah.
No, this is what happened with my brother's friend from Turkey. My fucking brother, typical of my brother, left his laptop in the airport.
Oh my God. In Turkey.
Listen, my brother has lost his wallet, his laptop. This is like a monthly occurrence. I lost my wallet. You know, I lost my fucking I left my computer in the airport. Luckily, he was with Josh Gates doing some Expedition Unknown shit in Turkey. He gets on the plane. They won't let him off the plane to go get the laptop.
Oh, man.
So he calls the guy that was working production on the Turkish production crew, and this guy goes and gets the laptop. Turns out the fucking guy moves to Astoria, Queens a week later.
Oh, that's funny.
So I'm like, yo, bring the laptop down to the Barry Electric show. So he comes down to the Barry Electric show. That's who that was. He brought my brother.
Oh yeah, he was great. He was having a good time too. He was having fun.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Turkey, how was Baltimore?
Yo, Baltimore was great. Baltimore was fun. For those that may not know, I went down to Baltimore. It was Camp Biohazard. Spent a couple days with Biohazard. Showed them the rough cut of some of the footage I've been working on for the secret project that hasn't been announced. That's moving forward. The Biohazard documentary.
The bio.
And it was well received. It was very well received. It was great. And but you know what's great about these trips when I do one of those trips nowadays, whenever they go do something like that, they get an Airbnb, like a house. So there's like 4 guys in the band, the front of house guys, the 2 techs, me, the 3 hangers on. It was like 15 people in a house,
It's like The Real World on MTV in the old days.
Oh, did I catch any new bands that impressed you? Yes, I saw the Chisel. And I saw Suburban Scum. They were pretty good too. But the Chisel was big. And I saw Regulate. Regulate was good, but the Chisel is really, they're hot stuff right now. Fucking Chisel, man. So that said, let's do photo of the day.
Absolutely.
Right? Wrong answers only, please. Let's go with this one. Wrong answers only, please. This is photo of the day. Boom. Photo of the day. What do we got? Wrong answers only, please. Is it seeing the Chisel? Where's the Chisel playing tomorrow night? Are they back in the UK? Where's the Chisel playing? They're fucking great. We are the Chisel. Yeah. Is it Abe Vigoda? Is it Fleetwood Mac reunion? Is it Taylor Swift?
He is repping.
Is it the Ramones? Is it checking in before work, Drew? Is it checking in before work? Hey, Drew. Hey, Marla. Is it Full Metal Jacket? Is it The Exploited? Is it Korn? Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. Boom. Is it Sling Blade? Is it Gary Holt on drums? Who is this Taylor Swift fan?
Who is this Swiftie?
Yeah, who is this Swiftie? That's definitely Midnight Oil. Haven't heard that one. Midnight Oil. I saw Midnight Oil play once.
I did too. They were great. I saw them a couple times. They were great. In fact, I saw them at Webster Hall a couple times.
Fuck Midnight Oil.
Wow. That's heavy.
How can we sleep when the beds are burning? Dun, dun, dun. I saw that show at Webster Hall, actually. I was there.
For that tour?
Yeah, I saw that. I was there at that Webster Hall show.
Yeah, no, they're really good.
You know what? I'm not hating on Midnight Oil.
He's got the haircut.
But fuck them anyway. Anyway, okay, right answers only, please. Right answers only, please. This is a band that is crushing it right now. Anybody, come on. It's not Armand. It's not Men at Work. It's, hey, Whitney. Hey, Whitney, your daughter took all the stickers I sent? Is that right? I sent her a book.
I knew Rich would get it.
Travis Kelce. All right, here we go. Is it CMI? Is it CMI? Is it CMI? Is it
CMI?
Is it CMI? I'm looking for someone spelt it right. Where is it?
It's a long name.
Yeah, I guess so. Are they new? Yes, they are CMI. Yes. Go ahead. Who is this?
This is Conservative Military Image.
Mhm.
And this particular show was at the Bowery Electric last year. They were supposed to play outdoors at the park, and the show got rained out, and they moved everybody to Bowery Electric. And they just crushed it. I had heard about them. Actually, Tim Daly was the first person to tell me about them. And he had said, "Oh, you got to see these guys." And they were so good. And not to mention, I never saw the crowd get so riled up like they had them at this show. And they were something. And the new record is called Casual Violence. And it was like probably my favorite hardcore record of last year. It was a great fucking record. And they got something. They got something special. And it's pretty intense. But I think they have great songs. You know, like
they're blowing up like the Chisel is blowing up. They're like they're bringing back some of that some of those great Oi roots. I saw well, let me stick with this for a second. But yes, this is they are killer. Yeah. This is Adam from Conservative Military Image, and I do want to say that he will be coming on this show in the near future. We just booked him and we're putting it together now. So that's happening. Adam from Conservative Military Image, this guy will be coming on the show for sure.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. They definitely have a something really cool and interesting about them, and all the stuff. It's called They Don't Suck. As soon as I saw them,
they're not playing a bunch of bullshit.
Right. No, they're good, and the songs are great. Like I said, some bands are good and they're great live.
Right. That's right. They are the new darlings of Oi. You got that right, sister. That's exactly.
Would you? I don't even consider them Oi. I feel like they got.
No, they're in that pocket, bro. And the Chisel, I saw the Chisel, and the Chisel were pretty damn good. I really enjoyed the Chisel. I mean, that stuff's in my wheelhouse. I mean, that's the stuff I personally love. And the Chisel, what the Chisel reminded me of, honestly, a lot. The Exploited and the Cockspar. That's who the Chisel reminded me of. Yeah.
Well, you can't go wrong with that recipe.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
They just played. I missed them. They played like a week ago. The Chisel. They played right here, and I missed it.
Yep.
So shame on me.
Chisel my nizzle. All right, bro. I'll see you later.
I'll see you later.
It's Edinburgh. Chisel's play. Let me tell you something about the Chisel. Those guys play every night of the week all over the planet Earth.
Grind it.
I just saw them in Baltimore like the other night. And they play constantly.
That's awesome.
Yep. They play more shows in a week than my band will probably play in its career.
You just played a bunch of shows,
Fuck those guys.
Be nice. They're your people.
Fucking sick of everybody and everything.
Wait till the tour starts.
Now I know. You know what? I'm not touring unless I have my own bus.
And the girl that feeds you the grapes and for fans.
You see, now I know why Hall and Oates don't even fucking hang out with each other.
Are you Hall or Oates?
I think I'm more like Oates. Nah, maybe not. But, I don't even want to talk to the guys in my band. I don't even just leave me alone.
Who needs it?
Drew, you need to bring the band to Yucca Tap Room here in Arizona. Hey, listen, you guys. Hey, we got to go to Yucca. We got to go to Yucca, Arizona. We got to play the Tap Room. Yeah, it's just one show. It's a one-off. Yeah, we'll fly there. We'll rent a car. We'll stay in a hotel. Yeah, it'll cost us all about $1,500 each. You down? What's up, Tap Room? It'll happen. Stranger things have happened.
That's right.
All right, I'll talk to you later, man. We got to get this happening.
Let's do it.
That's it. The Hardcore Shutterbug. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, The Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, Upstate Records. Hey, Mad Vintage is coming on board as a sponsor. Get ready. This is going to be very cool. Mad Vintage. And 126 Hardcore Clothing. They're a clothing. 126 Hardcore Clothing is a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them and ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guest on. Everybody okay? Yeah. Boy, you know what the magic word of the day is? Yucca. We got to ask our guest if he's ever been to Yucca. That said, here we go. Let's clear the deck. Let's have a good time today. You know, what do you say? What do you say we have a good fucking time for a change? All right? Like we never not have a good time on this show. Today's guest is an American singer, songwriter, and tour manager hailing from the mother of president state of Virginia. He's known for his work with the bands Goatsnake, Earthlings, Wool, and of course for over 40 years, Scream. Please welcome, coming at us from Brooklyn, New York, Mr. Pete Stahl. Brother!
How you doing?
How are you, buddy?
Good, Drew. Hi, Steven.
Good to see you, man. How's Brooklyn?
It's good. It's a little overcast today.
You're right on Flatbush Avenue?
Yeah, I am. Yep. I got the windows closed so you don't hear the cacophony of sirens and honking horns.
I hear you, man.
Yeah, we actually used some of those sounds on the last Scream record a little bit.
Is that right? Did you record? Yeah. How'd you record them? Out there in the field?
You know, just some field recording. I carry a Nagra in my back pocket, you know.
Yeah, in the shape of an iPhone, right?
Yeah. It's
right on.
Hey, what were you doing cracking on Midnight Oil, man? They got bald-headed singers, man.
I know. Yeah.
You know? Nuts, right?
It looks like we're from the same clan, you and me.
Same tribe, that's for sure.
You know, so yeah, they're okay. I don't have a problem with Midnight Oil. They're okay. Yeah, they're all right. You ever been to Yucca, Arizona?
Is it with 1 C or 2?
I think it's with 2. They're saying with 2. Yucca.
Oh, okay. Because I'm in Brooklyn right now, but I got 1 foot still in California. I live right outside Yucca Valley.
Oh yeah, Yucca Valley.
Yeah, so it might be Yucca, but no, I haven't been to Yucca, Arizona. Not yet, but you know.
Gotcha. And you asked Johnny Stiff about the club that used to be in Brooklyn.
Yeah, and he actually got back to me, Johnny Stiff, who used to book Scream back in the day, the one and only, and he said that the club was called Zappa's. I never played there. That's one of the, you know, shit. I mean, I didn't.
Here you go, going deep into the archive. Bam.
There Zappa's. You go.
Yeah. Who's playing Zappa's? The Shirts. Black Lace, Street Fighter. Yeah. Zappa's was like, I had a picture of Zappa's. I think Johnny Thunders played Zappa's. Flipper played Zappa's. Yeah. Zappa's.
Wow. See, that's why I got dressed up for this show, because of the production value.
Yeah. Good. I appreciate that. God is in the details, my friend. Hold on. I think I have a shot of outside Zappa's. Hold on.
Damn. All right.
Well, here's, you ready for this one? At Zappa's, get a load of this, Bill. At Zappa's in Brooklyn. This is crazy. Flipper in 1983, plus on the same bill, the Replacements.
Wow.
That's pretty cool, right?
Definitely. We play Screenplay with the Replacements around that time. But not on the East Coast. It was in Kansas City. One of the hottest shows we ever played, I remember.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. $5.
There you go. Um, let's bounce the ball back and forth a little bit, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? How did music come into your young life?
Yeah. I mean, I remember sitting in front of the hi-fi my parents had, early one, live at PJ's, singing Lemon Tree, that stuff. And my mom's was from Holland and was really like a lot of classical music too. And my dad managed rock bands in the mid 60s in the Washington, D.C. area. So that
And your dad, didn't your dad manage the Hangman?
that's correct. Not the Hangman from Los Angeles, which
Right.
a lot, but it's the Hangman from Washington, D.C.
Right.
They had put out a record on Monument Records back in the mid 60s, and the record was called Bittersweet. My dad wrote the liner notes if anyone can locate a copy. But yeah, he managed them. And they, my brother and I used to hang out at their shows and deliver notes to the band. And, so they were a huge influence. We started pretending to be musicians when we were like 10 years old,
And you grew up in Bailey's Crossroads, right?
Well, that right off of Columbia Pike, in Bailey's Crossroads, Arlington,
Right.
the Virginia side of the Potomac River,
Got it.
or like we call the Potomac.
Potomac. Right. and Franz is older than you?
I wish. No,
Right.
no, I'm the oldest in
Right.
in our clan. So yeah. But we're neck and neck basically.
Yeah. So basically, music was all around when you were growing up.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of messed with my journey in a way because I was, buying records when I was 10 years old, singles and stuff, and going to see shows. So then by the time I was 15, I was like full on into jazz fusion, and that kind of, I had started to play guitar, but I was like, never thought about being in a band because I was just, the music that I love was just way beyond what I could, do. And it wasn't until I started seeing some new wave bands and, punk bands that finally like, I want to fucking do that. I can do that. So, that was my journey into like kind of, getting the balls up to like sing and be in a band.
Yeah, I could relate to that. It wasn't until I saw my first hardcore and punk stuff that sort of the gap was bridged, and because it was so inclusive to everyone. It was you can go, you can do it. Everybody should do something, So yeah. What Ray Hogan asks, weather report. Like what jazz stuff did you was really big in your world before the punk stuff hit?
We had a club in Washington, D.C. that's no longer around called the Cellar Door. That was right down in this area called Georgetown, right across Key Bridge. And it only held like 100 people. But I used to go there and see bands like the 11th House, which Larry Coryell led with the Becker Brothers on horns. Saw John Abercrombie bring his trio in there, Alphonse Mouzon. So a lot of that kind of, it was pretty rock infused, but it just, and Mahavishnu. And then, some of the like more like kind of cheesier stuff like Brand X, but I was just way into that stuff.
Yeah. I saw a couple things earlier. I saw Weather Report. I saw
and it actually kind of tied in with my love of like bands like the Allman Brothers and a little bit of the Grateful Dead that jammed, and so then that was a progression from that into jazz for sure. But it had never occurred to me to be in a band. I just would play acoustic guitar. But it was interesting when got to. When later on, when we met the Bad Brains, and those guys kind of came from a jazz background too. So even though we kind of were from different sides of the river, we kind of had a similar journey in that way.
Yeah. What were they called before the Bad Brains? Mind Force, I think.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I just dug out.
Good pull.
Yeah, I just dug out a stub, one of my stubs that I recently, and this is, I still live in this neighborhood. Here we are, Miles Davis and BB King at the Beacon Theater.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
in 1986. I saw Miles Davis. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, he played with his back to the audience the whole time. But that's
Yeah,
what he.
I just went to New York Jazz Fest a few weeks ago and saw them Aesthetics.
Mind Power. That's somebody. Rich Nice 1970 said it's Mind Power. Yeah. Yep. So, at what point was there sort of like a moment there where as far as with the hardcore and well, it wasn't called, as we know, it wasn't hardcore at the time, but what did you guys get exposed to that sort of was big and like, was there a watershed moment musically?
Well, before we could, my brother, I'm like, I'm a bit older than my brother and Skeeter and Kent. So I was able to get into clubs before they were, but even for me, I didn't really hit the scene, so to speak. So our first conduit was really through trading records and through the radio, big time radio. And that was one thing. And it's also kind of how I got turned on to a lot of great jazz, because the local radio stations in DC, there's a lot of universities like American University and Georgetown University and Maryland University. And all those universities had killer FM stations, and they were basically like educators to us. So had all these great shows that would teach us about jazz or old blues. And I was a fanatic about that stuff. I'd stay up all night listening to jazz programs and country bluegrass programs and just learn about music. And so that was, and then there was one show in particular on WHFS, which is still around, but now it's kind of part of a corporate behemoth. Like, unfortunately, it's happened to a lot of radio. But then it was a small radio station in Bethesda, Maryland, and I used to listen to DJs like Weasel and Surf and people like that. And Weasel used to have an overnight show. He used to listen to a lot of blues and bluegrass. But there was a show on Saturday afternoons called the Mystic Eye Show, and that was like one of the first places I heard a lot of cool new wave music, a lot of the British new wave and punk was coming from there, and old garage punk. And so really expanded my mind, even though I had we'd learned a lot about early rock and roll and garage through our dad's band and stuff like that. But that's where I started first hearing a lot of new wave and punk, was on the radio. And then, started seeing some shows. And so particularly there was some bands in our area, this band called the Deceits, band called the Raz, the Slicky Boys.
I was just about to say
the Nurses.
Boys.
There's a whole bunch.
Slicky Boys is a name that always comes up when I interview anybody from down there. It's like they were sort of the, everyone loved the Slicky Boys.
They were a fun band to go see, and they actually covered one of the Hangman songs.
Is that right?
That was in their regular set list, called "What a Girl Can't Do," and and actually the original singer in that band was Martha Hull, who's on our new record, DC Special. She sings a song called Faces. And she was also in a band called the Deceits that also had the guitar player that ended up being in Black Market Baby, starting Black Market Baby, Keith. And so those were
the Slicky Boys original lineup.
Boys. There she is behind the drum kit. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Wow. Very cool.
She wasn't the drummer, though. She was the singer.
She was just sitting behind the drum kit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. Cool. Yeah.
So that's it was that early DC new wave punk scene, arty scene, art rock scene. Like there was this band called the Urban Verbs that that also had some ties to the New York kind of art rock scene, Talking Heads and stuff. I think there were siblings in that band, which is interesting because sometimes I hear a lot of people say that like New York hardcore came out of DC hardcore. And I always, which I don't really necessarily agree with. I don't know what you think, but I mean, for me, like our punk scene was informed by the the punks, all the different punk scenes around the country, but especially from the new wave and scenes that were happening, the new wave music scenes that were happening in DC. And I feel like it's the same. It had to be the same way in New York. I mean, with all the great early new wave bands and whatever, Richard Hell and the Voidoids and those kind of bands that must have, that the hardcore scene kind of came from that alternative scene.
Well, I'll address that for a second.
Okay.
We've talked about this quite a bit, is that in a certain way, those bands and that scene wanted nothing to do with us younger kids in New York. And there was a bit of a disconnect there that sort of like that thing kind of cycled out a little bit. And I think, what big influences on New York was DC and LA and Boston to a certain extent. But a lot, of course, certain stuff, came up, but that whole thing, like the Max's Kansas City thing and the early CB's thing, that was almost like the generation. That was almost like the generation before us, that really wanted nothing to do with us. So it was. But
didn't you want to be like? Weren't you guys inspired and influenced by what they wore or the music that they played? Though, kind of. I mean, they may not have wanted to have anything to do with you, but
yeah. I mean, some were.
Because you started playing in the early '80s with your band, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, it's the same time frame, kind of.
But I'm an anomaly. Like I went to Boston to go to college in 1981, and I fell in with the SSD Control guys, and that was something that just it was almost like there wasn't a lot of influences. The influences were. Black Flag, Minor Threat. I mean, for the most part, it was ground zero for that stuff. It was ground zero.
Because I for us, for Scream, for me, is definitely that new wave and American rock and roll garage music and bands like the Ramones or Television or the MC5 or whatever, that really first, the energy, the way they looked, they're fucking cool looking. We want, that's the scene we identified as we were moving into that kind of music. And it was later that we saw the Bad Brains or saw Teen Idols or whatever. So the period where that energy, that counterculture scene was what really, got, lit a fire in me to kind of get, create music. And
why, and I know I might be jumping forward a little bit, why did your brother gravitate to guitar and you gravitate to vocals? Was there a sort of a set plan there, or is that just the way the cards played out?
It's definitely the way it played out. I mean, I picked up the guitar when I was like 15 or 16 finally. Prior to that, I played a mean tennis racket. But my brother picked up guitar shortly after I did, but I spent a lot of time away from home at boarding schools. And my brother had his own journey, like discovering music on his own. Which brought him together with Skeeter and Kent, and they were playing together and knew each other in high school and even before. I mean, I don't know. I know that you already interviewed Skeeter before, Skeeter Enoch Thompson.
Yeah,
he went to school. He known Kent since second grade, right. And I'm not exactly sure when they all crossed paths. It was sometime in junior high school, I believe, and they were playing together. So when it came, they were already playing together, kind of. I mean,
I see.
My mom says that we started playing in '77. I don't in our bedroom, like we started playing, and I don't playing music. I don't think it was quite that early, but it was not too long after that. We always say we kind of started playing in the basement around '79. But I couldn't play as well as my brother or Skeeter, and so I got the mic.
That's how it went back then, right? It was like, you had the most to say, you have the mic, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I definitely would, start, especially when we were learning how to write songs, I got a few, I was able to write some basic riffs, and I wrote some easy stuff it's part of American Justice. I think I wrote, I have to look through the album, but there, I've always got, a bit of bits and pieces in there, but my brother is the craftsman of the guitar.
And this is the original. This is pretty much the original lineup here.
That's it, and if we lost our brother Kent just recently, and just toward the end of last year, and but we've been playing together for 40 plus years with different people coming in and out at different times. But that's the core band right there, and that's also the core band that recorded DC Special, which Discord just put out this past November.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. It's a great record. How did you guys arrive at the name Scream?
Well, some of my favorite singers are just great screamers. We're looking for something that kind of represented my vocal style. But at the time, I wasn't really much of a singer. So, actually, I think it was a horror movie or something that I saw an ad for and thought that was a cool name, and then we just went with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. You guys are out there, and you're starting to play, and you're doing shows, and was any that's the DC circuit. Did you fall in with some of the usual suspects? Did you fall in with the government issue, your minor threat?
Eventually,
were you welcome? Because I know. Listen, things are territorial, right? For the most part, right? So you guys were really from DC proper. You were from a little farther down south, right?
Yeah, just across the bridge, really. But we originally started out playing in our neighborhood, just like everybody does, and we were playing. Our first show was at our community pool, and then in Dowden Terrace and Bailey's Crossroads. You mentioned that there used to be a club there called Louis Rock City, and nice. we played a battle of the bands there. And that was like our first big stage show. Prior to that, we just played keg parties, and basement parties in our area in Arlington and Bailey's Crossroad around our school. And so it took a while before we got into the punk scene. It's the scene that we related to, but like you said, things are a little territorial, and so it took a minute for us to kind of gain favor in that scene a little bit. But our first tour actually was with Government Issue, and we did that before we put out our first record. Even we both got into the van together and made it out to the West Coast, and it was our first national tour and the beginning of our journey as a touring band.
Yeah, and this is technically the first record.
That is the first record, but we did that tour before that record came out, which as any musician knows, one of the best things to do is record a record after you've been on tour, because you're going to be tight.
Yeah. And something else we've mentioned many times is you were out on the road. What year did you go out west with Government Issue? 81, 82?
I think that was summer of 1982.
Yeah. So one thing we mention a lot is back then there wasn't really much of a roadmap, right? I mean, Black Flag, Misfits to a certain extent with the merchandise. But tell us a little bit about how there really wasn't much of a roadmap back then, and when you headed out there, and the challenges you faced.
Well, first we started playing regionally. First we made a demo tape, and which we did actually at Don Zentera's as well.
Right.
And that was produced by a guy named Jefferson Rogers. Once again, I'm going to link back to the kind of new wave early punk scene. He was in a band called the Distractors, and a local band, and he brought us to Don's, and we did a demo tape there that had the songs that ended up on Still Screaming, but they were early recordings. And then I sent that demo tape out to different regional magazines. Like, you know, I sent it up here, like to Jim Testa at Jersey Beat, and in our town, there's a magazine called Discord, actually not Discord, not related to Discord Records. And I think Howard Wolfing wrote for them, if I'm not mistaken. And so we got some reviews. We put a little promo pack together, and then, you know, you could send that out to the clubs. And, you know, we started playing, you know, just going into Baltimore, playing at the.
I got to stop. Is that Howard Wolfing that's married to Amy Wolfing, who has the publishing company? They put out the books now?
Howard Wolfing is definitely a promotional.
He's like a Philly guy, right?
You know, I traded a message with him last year. I don't know where he lives, but
I've been talking to him lately. He's about getting. He represents. He does PR. He does PR for artists.
Well, yeah. You know how I know him, Drew, is he wrote for the Washington Post back in the.
That's right.
And but not only that, he was in this really cool DC new wave band called the Nurses. So definitely check it out.
I got to set right now. Wait, were you in the Nurses? There you go. Because I've been literally have a dialogue going on Facebook, because he's one of his artists. We're talking about coming on the show. One of the guys that he's in the Swans now. He was in Cop Shoot Cop. I'm gonna get him on the show. So anyway, yeah.
Anyways,
Ray Hogan says Howard's a PR guy. Yeah,
exactly. And it was his review. I think it was for Discord magazine, and I put a little package together. Like I said, we went into Baltimore, played Marble Bar back then. Come up into New Jersey, started playing places like Aldo's, and remember that place. And in Philly, we would play the West Side Club and the Love Club. And then, you know, eventually made it into New York City. And
I got one right here. Hold on. This is dated January, February, March, April 25th, 1982 at the Peppermint Lounge. How about that?
Shit. Jesse Mallon's Heart Attack.
That's right. Look at that.
I've been looking for some lyrics for some Heart Attack songs, because we've been you know, playing some of Jesse's music, and I can't find any anywhere.
Yeah.
If anyone knows the lyrics for "I Don't Want You No More," please send them to me. Send them to me via Instagram or something. But Jesse,
was this the first time you were in New York, or did you come up and play the A7 before that or something?
I think this was the first time. I think they helped us get our first show in the city, and then we reciprocated by having them down in DC. You know, and that's kind of how it used to work. And as far as, like, you know, kind of dovetails off your question, is like we would meet bands, and then we would trade information, and then that's how you found who was booking shows in different cities. And so and then you would, like, people would put you up, and then you do the same thing when they come to your town. So that's how the kind of alternative community kind of developed that way.
Get a load of this one in Baltimore at Terminal 1406. MDC, Scream, Minor Threat, The Bollocks, SSD Control, and Led Zeppelin. I guess this is 82 as well.
It would have been back then around that. That was a really great place at Terminal 406.
Is that right? I've never heard of this place.
Yeah, there was a few venues that kind of came and went. There was another place in Baltimore called Jules Loft, if anyone remembers that.
Yeah. And then I
think Terminal 406 might actually be the venue that is featured in that movie that Social Distortion did a long time. That
one, State of Mind, I think it was called.
Yeah, something like that.
So here's an interesting show here, right? Here's an interesting show, because I was at this show and I played this show. And this is from the Wilson Center. And I guess it was 83, Thanksgiving celebration at the Wilson Center with Scream, The Mob, Antidote, and Madhouse. And I was in the High and the Mighty at the time, and we ended up on the bill because we all drove down in my van. I was in the High and the Mighty, and Antidote was in the van also. And on the way back is when they split with their singer. And a couple weeks later, I ended up singing for Antidote. So this is at the Wilson Center, and I vividly remember this show.
Did the mob didn't drive down with you, or did you guys convoy?
No, see, the thing is, I had a van, so the deal was, hey,
that's how you got in the band.
What's that?
That's how you got in the band.
That's right. So, right. But it was like, hey, they were going to cancel the show. And I said, get the High and the Mighty to open the show and I'll drive. So, I think the mob got down on their own. But I remember this. Michelle says, I miss shows at the Wilson Center. Rest in peace, Jack Flanagan.
Yes.
But the Wilson Center was an interesting place. Explain to the layman, like, what was the Wilson Center?
Well, I mean, I think it's might have belonged to. I really can't give you an accurate answer, except my feeling that it was always like part church, like maybe related to a church that had a community center and community outreach that had shows there. So, which seemed, for us completely normal, because a lot of clubs wouldn't let you play. Plus, we always, our focus was always to play all ages clubs, especially back then. A lot of cities were 21 and over, let alone 18 and over. So, those were that was a really great venue for bands to play. Also, it was pretty good size too. Yeah. So, a lot of rock and roll and soul and R&B came out of the church, church rooms basically, and activity center. In fact, one of the first shows I ever saw was the Hangman playing at Our Lady Queen of Peace Church, was our church that my brother and I attended when we were kids.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I always the Wilson Center to me always felt like it was almost like a school cafeteria vibe. It was like a rec room. But it was big. It was a decent size. I don't know. I know that you being a filmmaker and everything, you might be familiar with the writer George Pelecanos. Mm-hmm. There's a couple books of it. In some of his earlier books where the characters are at the Wilson Center. Right on. So just while we're doing sort of the flyer tour, I have another one before here's a great one from March 7th, 1985. And I was at Antidote at the time, and we played with you guys. This was a wild friggin' show on the lawn of the Lincoln Memorial. And this was, it was Antidote, Beefeater, Half-Life, Stetsasonic MCs, Scream, and it was Rock Against Reagan on the lawn of the Lincoln Memorial. Yeah, did you stay all the way through to the end? Did you? Yeah. Do you? Okay. Yeah, I remember. That one got crazy. Yeah, I kind of lost my mind at that show, but yeah, I got pissed because we were barely got a chance to play, and I think what happened was, I think they switched the bands around, and we ended up getting pushed to last or something. Oof. And then we only got 10 minutes, and then I kind of expressed my displeasure with the organizers of that, which was basically the people involved with Normal and the Yippies. It was a combination of those factions that put that show on. What I remembered was there was a brawl. There was a skinhead brawl type of thing that was set off by, you mentioned the Yippies and all that, and they were burning the flag or stepping on the flag or some of that, and some skinheads took offense to that, and a melee broke out. I mean, that I remember because that happened while we were playing. So, okay. I guess things were getting pretty intense. There was a famous tattoo artist, is Ace Baker, rest in peace. Right. It was known as Crazy Ace, and he'd come up from New Orleans to do tattoos at that. I don't know if you remember that. Mm-mm. But he kind of saved my life that night, because
after they cut us off at the end of the night, I basically went straight out to front of house and turned the board over.
Oh, it was that kind of a party.
And then when I ended up on stage, someone was coming up behind me with a pipe or something, and he I practically saved my life by just stopping them in their tracks. I remember that show very well too.
Yeah. You know what? I think if I remember correctly, it was 2 days and we played both days, and we played the first day and we had no place to stay. So we drove to the outskirts of town, and this were this was the 80s, and we had we had like a rented cube truck, and we pulled to a rest area, and we sort of took our sleeping bags and went up into the grass and went to sleep. Sure enough, cops pull up and they weren't having it. And they because the thing with DC, and correct me, in my experience was like every time we went to DC, we would get pulled over, and it was always, what are you doing here? What is your business here? And it was sort of unique to DC. They always want to know, what are you doing here?
Well, I mean, you have to remember there's like 5 or 6 different police forces just in DC.
Right.
And then plus it's surrounded by, different police forces in Virginia and Maryland. So there's a lot of law enforcement around.
Yeah. So there was that bit. But anyway, moving forward.
And, also just so like those Rock Against Reagan shows, like I say, were organized by the Yippies and the people that were involved with Normal back then.
That's right.
Which also, like, they saw in the punk movement a way to kind of get, re-energize their thing, basically. And so with good reason, with a lot of commonality in our thinkings, but they weren't always the best organized folks. But they had been doing those events for a long time. And also, another thing to remember, the Rock Against Reagan and the Rock Against Racism, all those shows were counter shows to the Beach Boys playing across the way. So we were basically giving a big finger to the establishment. And so there's definitely forces around us keeping an eye on us. I got arrested at one of those events in particular, and I realized at that moment that people were watching us with binoculars from far away by what happened afterwards.
Wow.
So we're definitely, you might have even been followed out to where I know that sounds a little paranoia, but I definitely experienced that while we were there, because it's hyper focused on the event, because just like with any large gathering like that in Washington, D.C., there's also other people that might have some different intentions that are down there.
Yeah. And they told us, they said, get out of here and don't come back. And it was a quandary for us, because we were scheduled to play the next day. So we kind of left and like came back, and it was always this sort of blanket of fear and paranoia over us.
Sounds like fun though.
Listen, it was the 80s. And funny you should bring up the Beach Boys things, because for those that may not know what we're talking about, it was a 4th of July show in DC, and there was a huge event in DC in the same park, basically, right? Wasn't it in the same sort of area?
Same area. It's the National Mall, but the Yippies and those organizations had, if you know how to do it and can cut through the bureaucratic red tape, you can get an area in front of the Lincoln Memorial, and that's what they did year after year.
That's right.
But the Beach Boys show was over kind of more, not that far, but kind of at the bottom of where the Washington Monument is.
So it was Beach Boys and all these sort of bands. So interesting story. After that night, we get in the vehicle and we're on the way home. We pull on the way back up east. We pull into Maryland House, or one of those rest areas. Like Maryland House, or what's the other one right after it? Maryland House, or you know what I'm talking. Those. So we pull in, and as we pull in, another vehicle similar to ours pulls in right alongside us. So we start getting out, and they start getting out, and we're like, "Yo, what's up?" They're like, "Yo, what's up?" we just played. Oh, we just played too, right? New Edition.
Oh man.
We were like, "Yo, what's up? We're from New York. Yo, what's up?" And like we bonded with New Edition going at the Maryland House Rest area. They played the big room, and we played the downstairs. It was a very cool rock and roll moment, which I'm sure you have many being a tour manager and being out there with so many bands. But one last flyer that I think is kind of a great one. This is at the Rock Hotel, the original Rock Hotel on James Street. This is Void Scream Second Wind, which was a very short-lived Minor Threat-ish band. Which what was his name? The kids, Richard sang.
Richard Moore, yeah. Rich Moore. Also was kind of related to Double O, if you remember that band.
That's right, Bert, because Bert was in that band.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Steve Hansgen was in the band, who was in Minor Threat. But I mean, you guys came up to New York, a bunch of times, right?
Oh yeah, and it's so funny. I forgot about that. I forgot about the Rock Hotel. You already brought up the Peppermint Lounge, which I don't know how many of y'all out there remember how high that stage is. I remember it because I dove off of it while we were playing, and there was like 15 people there or something, and right. Everyone just moved out of the way.
Yeah.
But and I splattered on the ground there. But yeah, I mean, one of the first times we came up was with the Bad Brains that played CBGB's, all crammed into my van, the first Scream van, the small little red Dodge van, and we were all crammed in there and came up and played at CBGB's. And then A7 we played, as you brought A7 up there.
Yeah.
Danceteria, we played there. The Ritz played there. I mean, I think we made the rounds.
Yeah. I'm digging out. Oh, okay. Here you go. This is a great one, bro. I went and saw, who did I guess I saw, it was Bad Brains and Marginal Man at the Peppermint Lounge, right? And this is a shot. Now, I gave the camera to a friend of mine to shoot this. I have a bunch of these shots, but this is the stage. You talk about how high the stage was, right? That's me in the leather jacket being pulled backwards off the stage. This is 1982. Now, you see the kid in the red shirt on the stage there on top? That's Eric. That's Eric from Double O.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
That's before he started dressing up like Dracula.
Yeah, and before he had the dreads. And but this stage was like 10 feet high, man. And I got pulled backwards and ended up fucking falling on my friggin' back. Yeah, that was a tough one, man.
Wow, you can see Daryl over there.
Yeah,
stage left.
Yeah, just sort of.
He always kind of he played a lot that way back in the day with the Bad Brains, where he would be facing. I remember the first time I saw them play, he would be facing, always looking at Dr. No.
Right.
They always like reminded me of like how much they're like me and my brother were. That's like always kind of giving each other the evil eye.
Yeah. This is another shot off a roll. I shot this in 1981, I think, 82. And you can see the Peppermint Lounge logo behind. Oh yeah. This is an early Bad Brains shot. Daryl wasn't even playing the Green Monster yet.
Well, I'm glad that you. So I wasn't tripping that the stage was kind of high, right?
Oh, look at the kids in the front. Their hands are like up.
Yeah. No, that's what I remember, and I dove off that stage, and was wishing people would be there for me. But
it was sick. Wait, here's one last one.
I think I did the same thing at CB's before, which was pretty good size, but nothing like that.
There you go. I mean, this isn't a great shot, but you could see from this shot how high the stage was. People are like it's a high stage, It's crazy high stage. All right, enough of all that. You know what I wanted to ask you? any unsung heroes from that early kind of DC scene that you were part of? Like anybody lost in the swirling, sands of time, looking back, anybody that sort of, you don't hear much from anymore, or any unsung heroes?
Well, I mean, I'd say like the people that started the 930 Club, Doty was one of the owners there. That club was really instrumental in getting the whole scene going from, the new wave scene and on into and then had like the first hardcore matinees. That was a really important person. And then, that's why one reason why we wanted to include a lot of collaborators with a Record DC special was to, tell our story through the history of the bands that came before us and what inspired us, and bands like I've been, like we just talked about, the Nurses or the Urban Verbs or the Slicky Boys or Raz, or all these bands that we stood on their shoulders as they inspired us to make music too, and kind of do our own thing. And a lot of those people, just like, I consider Scream to be a pretty obscure band in the scheme of things, and I think we'll be like unsung heroes at one point as well. So really a lot of those early bands. There's this one band called the Penetrators, and George Dively, that guitar player in that band. Like, all these bands that we just like would listen to constantly, that kind of really inspired us to make our own bands. And then, I guess you bring up fanzines, which was really crucial to like spreading the word about local music, and so there was a lot of local rags. There was the Unicorn Times, which like I think Howard Wolfing might have written for before, Mark Jenkins and people like that. But yeah, all the local fanzines and folks that stapled and put those together and spread the word. It was before the internet.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And a lot of, you see this shot that I put up. I guess this is an early Scream shot. Looks like you guys are getting down in the basement somewhere. Actually, this looks like Europe, kind of. Could be Europe. Who knows?
It could be. I think it is.
When was the first time you guys? When was the first time you guys went overseas?
You wouldn't see too many hardcore dudes in America wearing high waters like that guy on the stage there.
Yeah. When did you guys go over to Europe for the first time?
1986.
Oh yeah, this could be 86.
Yeah.
It says 1986. So there you go. Rather than kind of go. What's this? Our first show in Amsterdam. Who? Is that your brother? Choate mate?
It might be. I don't know.
Is that you, Franz?
I don't know.
First show in Amsterdam. Sounds like a band member. So let's see.
Well, it must be though. A funny story about that first show in Amsterdam is that Skeeter Enoch Thompson wasn't there because we.
That's it. That's your brother. Hey, Franz.
Okay. Yeah.
Welcome back, brother.
Hey, bro. Yeah. So just a quick side story. We first started that tour. We went to England first and played some shows there. And then we're going across to Europe for the very first time. All get in the van. We get to the border in the morning, and Enoch's got the wrong passport.
Ooh.
And not only, so they got really suspicious, and they were going to deport his ass back to the States. We continued on, got to Amsterdam, and then we had to play that show without Enoch on bass. So
how do you play a show? So you play with two guitar players and no bass?
Well, basically, yeah. We had some people get up and play with us, and I think that's Robert Lee Davidson Harley on stage right over there.
Right. That's
I think we just did two guitars, and I think some people got up and played bass a couple, but the first two shows were without Enoch. And by the time finally he was able to retrieve his passport and talk his way out of getting deported, and he made it over in time for us to finish that European tour as a group.
Paul Stone says Leeds, June 18th, 1986 was absolutely amazing. First DC band in Europe.
Right on. I think that was at a club called Adam and Eve's.
Wow. There you go. Scream has going through sort of the catalog a little bit, and I'm excited. We're gonna make our way to the new record, which is really fantastic. But Scream has put in a lot of work on Discord Records. Could you tell us a little bit about the band's relationship with Discord and how it's you've maintained that I know. You were, a record was on Ross Records. Your brother explained that when he was on the show, and a couple other things, but a lot of releases on Discord. What's the relationship between Scream and Discord?
Oh gosh, it's our family. It's and it kind of happened naturally in a progression. But like I said, we did that first tour with Government Issue in '82, and we came back from that tour, and that's when Ian Mackay approached us about doing a record. And we just kind of been lucky that we've stayed together. And this new record, DC Special, was a real homecoming for us in so many different ways. And when we started the record recording DC Special, we actually weren't sure it was going to come out on Discord. That's why we were funding it ourselves. And after we began the process, Ian came on board and Jeff came down, and then they decided they wanted to put the record out. So, it's just kind of just happened the way it did, that we've been always on that label. It's our home, and it basically represents us, and we try to represent them, and it's our community. And Discord specifically puts out music from Washington, D.C. primarily. And so we fit right in there.
It's a great record, man. I've been enjoying listening to it again and again with you coming on. It was this was recorded in Don's studio, and Don's studio is back where it originally was, right?
It is now.
Yeah.
But when we recorded the record, that's one of the things that really got us going to get it done, because we had tried to record a previous there like 2015, 2016, but we're all kind of spread out across the country, and it just didn't work out scheduling wise. So when I got the call from Don that the studio was getting closed because Arlington County was doing some gentrification, basically for some odd reason they were forcing them out, and so we immediately booked some time for the first week of September 2021. And then, we had that on the calendar, and then we started putting together the songs and the concept for the record, which was, I kind of said before, was, to kind of, tell our story through our band's history.
Mm-hmm. Right on. In listening to, and we're going to take a break in a couple minutes, but let's. I want to address this. In listening to the band's catalog, one release that I really, really enjoyed is Fumble, and I really enjoy this release. And I was kind of surprised to see that and to learn that you recorded it in 1989, and then it didn't come out till 1983.
93, you mean?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, right, 93. Wow, what a fantastic record. And your brother's guitar playing on it, man, on Sunmaker, his slide, your fucking brother's is fucking killer, man. Hey, listen, anybody out there want to check something out, check out this record, Fumble. It is fucking fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, what's the history? Why was it recorded? Why was it recorded in 80? Why did it take a couple years to come out?
Well, you just how it turned out. I mean, we toured a lot, and we started tracking that record at Don's studio, the one that we recorded DC Special at. And then we went on the road before I laid down the vocals. I don't even think I had all the lyrics written. And so then when we went on the road, started that tour. When we got to California, things kind of fell apart in that tour, and so then we didn't get an opportunity to finish the record for another couple of years. And it's a completely different environment. Wasn't like, you know, had Pro Tools on your laptop and could finish the vocals on.
Right.
You know, we were in LA at the time, in California, and we stayed there for a couple of years. And, you know, by the time when we got a chance to go back home and finish the record, that's what we did. So that's how that came about.
But by that time, when you sort of reconvened, Dave Grohl was already in Nirvana. Was that right? And was he involved in finishing the record? Kind of circling back.
I don't think so. I'm sorry, I don't completely recall. I think we just tracked the record with him. Okay. I did rough vocals, and he did sing on some of the songs, which I think ended up in the mix. But when I went back to do the record, I don't think he was around. I don't think when I did all the vocals or finished the vocals, I don't think he was around.
Makes sense. Yeah, great record, man. Really interesting. You know, for some records, how when you don't know the background of the record, you know, and you say, I love this record, and then you kind of look at the history, and it's like, wow. You know, it was a little patchwork together, or, you know, like I love Dickie's Stukas Over Disneyland, right? It sounds to me like this cohesive record. And then I learned about the record, and it was just like, this is over here, that's over there, this is done here. But the fucking record's great.
Well, thank you. And I'm glad that you bring it up, because, you know, it was a more cohesive record for us, in the sense that the record previous that we did with Dave was No More Censorship, which we had grand ideas about that record as far as our message and the lyrics and how we wanted to record it. But it kind of came out a little overproduced, which is one reason why we remixed it at Dave's studio, you know, and it got re-released a few years ago by Southern Lord Records. And so when we went back to record Fumble with a new set of songs, we're kind of like, you know, wanted to get a raw sound, went back to Don's. Eli Janney recorded it and with Don, and, you know, it is definitely, there was a focus to make that record sound heavy and raw than the previous record.
Right on. Hey, let me take a sponsor break for a couple minutes. Let's run the flag up the pole a little bit, and give me 10 minutes, and we'll be back, and we'll talk about Wool, and we'll talk about the new record and a couple other things, okay?
You got it.
There you have it. Our guest today on the New York Hardcore Chronicles is Pete Stahl. We're going deep. If you have questions, we'll handle that towards the end. Right now, let's do some sponsor stuff. Let's talk about some upcoming shows. See you in a minute.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. Specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles.
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer.
Video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young readers section here for like 10 and under. Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars! We are New York Hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
Will that be cash or in debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Hey,
Guys, Vlad from Organic Grill. As you can see, we're in a new location on West 3rd Street, right by Blue Note and Comedy Central. The place is bigger, kitchen is bigger, we have more varieties, more food. We are looking forward to treat you guys with great dishes. All Hardcore Chronicles, welcome to Organic Grill. We are going to serve all the events as we usually do, and we are happy to see you guys.
Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
And we're back. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Hey, a couple shows coming up. This Sunday, a couple days from now, Mike from I Hate God is going to be on the show. And 1 week from today, talk about DC, Ian MacKay's coming on the show. 1 week from today, special guest Glenn E. Freeman. Put your shoes and socks on, kids. It's right around the corner. One of the Mount Rushmore of American hardcore will be on the show. Sunday, February 11th, Allison Braun, the photographer, LA represent. Victor Cara from 108 Beyond Shelter, Inside Out and Burn. Wednesday, February 14th. Boston represent Ryan Packer from Slapshot, Stars and Stripes, American War Machine. He's a promoter these days. That's Wednesday, February 21st. CBGB's 50th anniversary. In celebration, we have Hilly Crystal's son, Dana Crystal, coming on the show on February 25th. Then Sunday, March 3rd, Drew Thomas from Bold. And we just announced this the other day, Sunday, March 24th, Mike Score from All Out War, End Rain, and Below the Frost. That said, coming up on Sunday, February 18th, at the Bowery Electric free all-ages Sunday matinee, Roberto's Birthday Bash, 9 residents, non-residents, Incendiary Device. It's going to jump off tonight. The Long Wait, featuring ex-members of SSD Control, Slapshot, and Wrecking Crew, Crazy Eddie, and Neck Scars. That's 2 weeks from Sunday. It's free. It's at the Bowery Electric. Bring that nagging ass wife. Bring that booger eating kid. Come on down. Bring your mom. Bring your pop. The whole bit. Don't be shy. Hey, we're going out to the West Coast. Incendiary Device. We're playing our first West Coast shows with our friends in Channel 3 on Saturday, March 9th. At the Kensington Club in San Diego. And on Sunday, March 10th, we're playing a matinee at the Sardine in San Pedro. So come on through. We're playing our first West Coast shows. We look forward to seeing you. That said, hey, show always needs your support. There's a Patreon page, as you know. I want to shout out a couple of new patrons, Karen and a couple other people, Mark Borg and Sebastian Gorgon. Sebastian Gorgon came up to me the other night in Baltimore. After the show was over, it was a long day. The lights come up. I'm on the way out. And Sebastian said, I love the show, man. Thank you so much. And he gives me a check. I'm like, what? Written out already. Like, that was very kind of you, Sebastian. Thank you. And thank you for supporting the show. The show needs your support. There's a Patreon page, please. There's a PayPal address. There's a super chat function that costs a couple bucks if you have a question for our guest. Also, please subscribe to the show if you're watching it rerun. Subscribe, like the show as well. I'm told that's a good thing. So please, let's keep doing what we're doing for another bazillion shows. That said, enough of me talking about me. Let's bring our guest back on, Mr. Pete Stahl.
Hey. And this is show 303, huh?
Yeah, man. There's been more because there was bonus during the pandemic. We were doing like bonus show, so this is really like 310 shows, man.
Okay. Well, that's kind of like with Scream. We had like a whole batch of songs that we wrote when we first started out, but then we never put those out. So we had some Discord number 9 was our first record, but we had some
Right.
pre stuff too. But thank you to your supporters, man. Your show is great. Thanks for having me on.
I'm very fortunate. I'm very grateful. People really love the show, and I'm thankful for that. What was you mentioned sort of right?
Why I'm here to promote the record. I'm just kidding.
No, I get it. But I want to ask. It's a segue. What you just said was everything written on the spot for this, or did this have any of that material you mentioned? Did you go back into the archives for anything for this one? Yeah,
for sure. That's part of it. Like it's like I was saying, we wanted to tell our journey through this record, and that's right. It ends with that song "Call It a Night," which is me and Franz and Enoch and Kent playing in a basement, like early 80s. And that's how we used to always end our nightly rehearsal. I mean, we rehearsed all the time, and we'd always end with "Call It a Night," let's call it a night. And so while Franz was packing up, we'd go into that jam, mostly to annoy my brother, but we just keep on fucking with, playing. But so some of those, so like I said, there's stuff from back then, and there's some little sound design, like little bits and pieces in between songs that are from then. There's some stuff that my brother had written back in the aughts or whatnot. And but the record was really kind of planned during the pandemic when we didn't have anything to do. And so we're able to flesh things out, finish a lot of the songs that we had not time to do, and we didn't have a lot of time on our hands. And also it was such a weird time, and there's so much going on that we kind of wanted to, write about what was happening at that moment. So trying to tie all these things together, it really made sense in the end to come together to record this record, which actually was the end of the pandemic was still kind of happening. I mean, we're in the sense that we were still doing social distancing when we went into the studio.
Sure. Right? And this was all done at Don's?
Yeah, it was the record was recorded at the same place we did Fumble. All the previous records that we did were done at the original studio, and which now he's back there, which was just on the other side of Arlington. Coincidentally, it's also the same street my brother and I grew up on when we were kids. Wow. We lived on Ivy Street, just a few doors down from where Inner Ear is back at now. But yeah, so when we recorded this record, and everybody knew in our Discord community and our friends and family knew that this was going to be one of the last records recorded at the studio. The studio was closing at that location, and so it became and also, a lot of people hadn't seen each other in a long time.
Sure.
So our recording kind of gave people an opportunity to come hang out and catch up and revisit, and also kind of re-energize, because we're playing music, and I think we hadn't played in a while, so we're kind of remembering, like, this is where we are, this is what we are, this is where we're from, and this is what we this is what we do. And so we kind of needed to be reminded where we're from at that point, because we're this record was like a celebration of us all coming together again as well.
So let's take a question. Rich Nice 1975 asks, Pete, what is Vanishing Commissars about? Thanks, love the record.
Yeah, there's a couple things in the lyrics of that song. It's my brother's idea. It's my brother's title, and he had an idea about kind of feeling like, man, here we are, like playing music, like being in a band. Who would have known we'd be playing like 40 years later, and there's all these new bands coming up. We're kind of like the old fuckers, and we're like, kind of going off into the sunset, like, and I'm like, well, I like that. And so I had an experience in Russia on a tour in 2019 that was, I kind of wanted to write about where there was some knives involved, and it took place in St. Petersburg. It was a crazy night, and I kind of incorporated my memory of that night in what Franz wanted to communicate. So me as a songwriter, I wanted to kind of tell that story, so it's kind of like I feel like we're a band and we got our arms around each other, and we're kind of, playing a show, cruising down the road afterward, vanishing into the night.
Cool. Good stuff. I personal question, I want to ask about you sort of segueing into being a tour manager and some of the bands that you've worked with. Was it a sort of a natural progression? Like, and I can relate a little bit because I've done some tour managing, and I'm a producer by nature, right? I'm a detail oriented person. And of course I produced, all this stuff back in music videos back in the day. And so tour managing sort of, I don't want to say it came easy, but it was in my wheelhouse. You?
Same here. I mean, just like you said, you had a van. I had a van. So that's the starting point.
I am you and you are me.
But so, yeah, it came easy for me in that sense. Like, I was always the person to get paid at the end of the night, hopefully. And and I planned out a lot of the tours, with all the bits of paper with people's names and numbers on it, or, and then when in between Scream and Wool, and I was kind of out of work in LA, Dave Grohl hooked me up with L7. They didn't have any transportation, or they were looking for someone with a van. Just like this, Scream just finished. We just did a couple short tours with Soulside, and we just did one on the East Coast. Don't have a van. Called around down in DC. A guy, Gideon, had a van, so rented the van from him, and we did the East Coast. So that's how I met L7. I had a van, and they got in the van, and I drove them around, and that was kind of, I started, doing a little bit of tour management. They run the show, those girls do, but I just, would get paid every night and collected the money, and that was kind of my first taste of tour managing. And from there, started, tour managing and just really enjoying it. I think after L7, I worked for Queens of the Stone Age when they were first starting out. We were in a van, and
didn't you do a big run with Coheed?
Oh, that was later, much later, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I worked for like 10 years for Coheed, both as a production manager in the office and then also on the road with them. And I love those guys. I miss working with them.
And Rival Sons as well, right?
Yeah, just finished up working with them last year in June. We did some touring supporting Greta Van Fleet. So yeah, just tons of bands, some great bands like Division of Laura Lee and Soundtrack of Our Lives from Sweden. I worked for Rammstein one tour. Wow. I've worked for a band called OPM, Cave In. I've done guitar.
Yeah. Wow. Right on.
I've done guitars for a bunch of bands, believe it or not, even with my basic skill. I even did guitars for Tommy Verlaine once.
Wow. Mike Airy, our good friend and supporter, Mike Airy, whose dad has actually been on this show.
What? Really? You had Mr. Don Airy on the show?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The 50th show I did, show 50, like landmark 50th episode, was Don Airy, and it was great. And he's great.
What a gentleman he is. I don't know what. I don't know what happened to Mike, but his dad.
Yeah. So Mike says, the best tour manager I've had the pleasure to work with.
Oh, that's very sweet. I enjoy working with Mike too, and I think he's picked up the baton. I think he's tour managing Deep Purple.
Yeah. Yeah. I know he was stage managing. I do. Is that right, Mike? Are you tour managing now?
Maybe it's stage managing.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike. Yeah. Mike, you know how I met Mike? I met Mike. I was invited to do background vocals on a Sick of It All record. And I went out to this recording studio and we're all doing background vocals. And like in a break, he comes up to me and says, "Hey man, I love your stuff and this and that." I go, and we start talking. He says, "Yeah, my name's Mike Airy." Okay, yeah. I say, "Well, what do you do for work?" He goes, "Yeah, I work with this heavy metal band." "What band?" Deep Purple. My dad. I said, "Who's your dad?" "Don Airy." "What?"
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And
production manager. Mikey says he's a production manager.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, because I mean, he spent his childhood probably setting up his father's gear. So once you can set up, a Hammond Rhodes,
right,
and or a Hammond organ and a Rhodes and all these other keyboards that his father has a massive setup. So he could be production manager for anybody. And that's one of the best things about being a tour manager is getting opportunities through working for them, of touring with like with Rival Sons. I did a whole tour. They did a whole tour supporting Black Sabbath, which was like, I got to listen to Black Sabbath sound check every day for a whole year.
Sure. Hey, hold the presses. Let's say hello to our friend Giz Butt, man. There he is. What's up, Giz? How are you, buddy? Good. Fantastic. He says he'll give you a guitar lesson.
Yeah, I need one.
Yeah. That said,
Giz Butt's been playing with Scream on the last few tours. Finally, is something we had tried to get going on before the pandemic shut that down. Right. But a lot of people may not know that he was in English Dogs, and he has a band called the Distractors as well, and Janice Stark. A lot of people might know him from The Prodigy, but he's a very well-renowned guitar player.
Was he doing these shows with you guys, the Scream Soulside thing?
He did the whole thing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he was a guest on the show recently.
Awesome. Yeah.
They all come through here, brother. Sooner or later, they all come through.
You can see that lineup you got. Your upcoming lineup looks great.
Yeah.
Can't wait to our next shows in Manchester, England. We're playing Manchester Punk Festival on March 31st. And can't wait to get back and play with Mr. Giz Butt.
Yeah, fantastic. Was
the kids just love to see my phone when Giz Butt's name come up.
Right. That's worth the price of admission alone, right? Giz Butt, right? Yeah. Yeah. Michael Springle says, hold on, come on. Where is it? That's odd. Comments aren't coming up. Oh, there it is. Michael Springle says, Goatsnake. The debut was my favorite album back in 98, 99. Earth-shattering heaviness.
Yeah, I think they just re-released that with a updated cover, and recently Southern Lord released the demo tape that became that first record. But I mean, I know it's weird to see all these the names of these different bands that I've been in. And there's another band called Orquesta del Desierto that I did a couple of records with them that you might want to check out. Mario Lally on guitar, one of my favorite all-time guitarists, and Danny Brown on bass, and a bunch of great musicians involved with that project too. But I mean, all of this is kind of just, they all kind of, for me, all tie together as a singer and a songwriter. Of course. Different scenes. Just, I'm a very fortunate person to be a part of these, play with these different bands. Goatsnake's one of them. Before we move on to Desert Sessions, though, I just want to say that, the thread between Scream and Goatsnake is a really simple one, because Scream used to play with this band, The Obsessed, back in the day. They were a metal band from
Wino's Obsessed.
Wino's Obsessed, yeah. But that band went through a lot of different, a lot of lineups too. Like one of their original lineups had Vance Bacchus in that band, and he went to school with Franz and Enoch and Kent, and he's from Bailey's Crossroads, and he was in The Obsessed and in Pentagram, and he was in 9353, and rest in peace, Vance. But that band ended up in Cali, and the Obsessed did, and went through some different formations as well. That ultimately the rhythm section from that band, Greg Rogers and Guy Pinas, we formed Goatsnake with Greg Anderson from Engine Kid, a band that I met through Wool. And they asked me to sing for that band, just like Franz and Enoch asked me to sing for Scream. So it's all tied together,
Sure.
a family and community of musicians and people that I've been lucky to like cross paths with.
Is this a fair question to ask? Any chance Goatsnake reunites?
I doubt it. I really don't think so.
Good square answer, man. Like just good job putting that one to bed. How did you become involved with Josh and sort of the Desert Sessions?
Well, its roots are in the punk scene as well. I met all those guys through a guy named Hutch, Patrick Hutchison. He was the sound man for DOA, and we became good friends when I first moved to Los Angeles. And he introduced me to Dave Ketchens, who I started Earthlings with, which came out of a studio called Rancho de la Luna, which is in Joshua Tree. I still have a home out there in Landers near there. But that studio, Rancho de la Luna, has been a big part of my life the last 25, 30 years, that band and that studio. And Desert Sessions was a collection of records that Josh Homme put together and still puts together, which is basically like, kind of like, he gets, it's not unlike the DC Special concept in a way of having different people collaborate and improvise in a way on our music and Desert Sessions is a bit more of a broader kind of concept, I would say, but it all takes place at that studio, and I sing on the first couple, but there's many records to that.
Didn't you go out on the road with them and do some of this stuff live?
We have never done, as far as I know, no one's ever. I don't think he's put together like the Desert Sessions live yet, though. That'd be awesome if we could pull that off at some point. It'd be great. But I did, like I was saying, I used to roadie and tour manage Queens, and I used to do guitars for them and sing backups, occasionally. Mm-hmm. I'm a jack of all trades.
Yeah. I think we'd be amiss to not talk about this great record and this band. Kind of in retrospect, do you feel like this record has aged well? Are you happy in retrospect with this record?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely happy with it when we did it. I put everything into that record, and we all did. Honestly, I kind of move on from each record after a while, but I love going back to it and listening to it. The songs are close to my heart, right from the soul, and the songs like Speak and Sister Song that was a really great time for us. And I see that you show that picture with Chris Bratton on drums there. I saw that you having a gentleman on your show in a couple of weeks that was in Inside Out. Chris was in Inside Out. He was a drummer for that band.
Right. Yeah.
And Al Block, the great bass player that we had, he's been putting out some great records himself on look for Al Block on Bandcamp.
And there's with Wool there once again there's a government issue tie-in, right? Was it?
Yeah,
right?
Well, the first record, Bud Spawn, we did with Pete Moffett. Great drummers, still out there rocking. He's actually, you can see Pete Moffett on an upcoming tour with Jay Robbins. He's playing with Jay Robbins right now. Right. And yeah, we struggled. We're struggling now actually to find, having to deal with like, let me explain myself. Finding a replacement for Kent Stax is like, it's impossible. He's one of a kind. And so now we're like playing with Jerry Busher, which is great. We're just so fortunate to play with him. But, you know, we've been playing with Jerry's our third drummer since Kent passed. And, but, you know, when we got out to LA and we were looking for a band, me and my brother, we were having a hard time finding the right people to hook up with that we could identify with as, you know, and make a band with. Sure. And so we ended up having to call back home and get Pete Moffat to come out and join forces with us. And that's how it came out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Paul Stone says Box Set is a fantastic record, truly great from start to finish. And Sean Day, and I remember this. I saw Wool open for Rage Against the Machine and House of Pain at Roseland Ballroom here in New York.
All right. Well, that's one of the shows that went off with no problems, if I recall.
There's got to be a few of them, right? Once in a while. Alan,
that tour almost didn't happen. The very first show, Everlast tried to get on a plane with a gun, so the tour almost got shut down. Jeez. There was a riot. There was a famous riot in Baltimore where that happened on that tour. I don't even think the tour actually finished. I'm not sure if it actually completed.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Alan,
that was awesome, and that's really, you know, when that wasn't the only time we got to tour with Rage. We toured with them in the UK as well.
Oh wow! And that was off on that first record that they put out on the when they were just blowing up, bomb tracking all. Yeah, that was. I saw them here, and I videotaped the show, and I one of the great regrets, I lost the VHS. I shot it. I shot them when they played here at Wetlands in New York City, and you know, because Todd Youth's band Shine in Time Station was on the bill, so he asked me. Hold on a sec. Little New York City for you. They're coming your way. Todd Youth was in Shine in Time City. He asked if I could shoot them. They were opening up for Rage at the Wetlands. I think the record wasn't even out yet. Might have just came out. I went and shot Shine in Time Station. I also shot Rage Against the Machine, but damn, I don't have it anymore. Alan Villarreal, Kent Stax, one of my drum heroes, up there with Grohl and Topper Headon. Whoa.
Right on. That's awesome.
He pulled the Topper Headon card. Whoa. That's big. Yeah.
One of my heroes too.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before I'm going to take a real quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to take some questions from around the world. But okay. I want to ask you about, you know, you mentioned your time in LA. Here's a shot of you and your brother at the Viper Room. You worked at the Viper Room for a while?
Oh, yeah. That was a great job to have in my back pocket.
Uh-huh.
I was a stage manager there.
Oh, wow. That's a great gig.
It really was. And learned a lot about production and running sound. I was mentored by this sound guy, Frank O'Reilly, who's still out there. One of the, but yeah. And you know, that I met, that's really where I got to know Todd Youth, because his lady was working there and he was hanging out there a lot. And, you know, when I first started working there, you know who else worked there was Johnny Carco.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if you remember, he was,
of course. That's Jesse Mallon's boy.
That's right. But he was also in the Misguided.
That's right. Oh, pulling. Wow.
Pete, there you go.
Pete, stop pulling cards, man. Whoa. Well,
I'm just like,
he also,
I mean, but Drew, this is, you know, this is our community, and we're see how we're tied together. Like, you bring up the Viper Room, and I can just say John Carco worked there.
Hey,
so,
let's pull some cards.
I can even top that maybe. Isaac from Crucial Truth worked there.
Well, you know who was just watching the show? who's watching the show? Wait, and he posted something. Hold on, there's cards to pull here. Where is he? Ricky Mahler.
Yes.
Ricky Mahler posted before. Ricky Mahler, who was in Circus of Power, who grew up with Isaac and all that, and those guys came up from Florida with Johnny Depp and all that. So
yep. We never played with Circus of maybe we did. We definitely played with Crucial Truth.
Right. Well, Crucial Truth was like an A7 band.
Yeah.
Oh, here he is. Here he is. This is Ricky Mahler. Tell Pete I say yo. I started from the beginning. I know you're miles ahead of me. Yeah.
Hey, Ricky.
Yep. Ricky Mahler, man. I talked to Ricky. I still talk to. No. Ricky Mahler was not Axl's guitar teacher. That was the other guitar player in Circus of Power. That was Gary Sunshine. Gary Sunshine gave Axl Rose guitar lessons. Ricky Mahler was the other one, the other lunatic in that band. So,
but getting back to that original question, Viper Room was a great place to work at. I've met so many cool people there and friends to this day.
Is the Viper Room still there?
Somehow it's hanging on by a thread, but that family of people that was working there in the late 90s and early 2000s was really special and really close. Later on, it kind of changed after it changed ownership. But it still was a good place to, as a touring musician, to come back to from the road and have a job. And like I was saying, Frankie put a sound system in there that all the bands just loved playing there.
I saw Johnny Cash at the Viper Room.
Oh wow, man! I wish I would have seen that. I saw Eric Clapton work with Prince there. There's so many bands.
Yeah, I saw Johnny Cash at the Viper Room. Acoustic. It was great. Let me take a.
I think that ended up on one of Rick Rubin's records, the live recording of that. I think so.
Yeah. One last word on Johnny Carco. Johnny Carco played with Dee Dee Ramone too later on.
That's right.
He was in Dee Dee's band, which
we had a. Go ahead.
Which is probably an adventure in itself. But Carco is still around here in New York. He bartends at one of Jesse's places. Yeah.
Yeah, I've run into him at Berlin before. We had a band called Metro that I just loved, that never played a show, but we made some demos that I really close to my heart.
Yeah. Let me take a quick sponsor break and let's come back. This will be a quick one and we'll take some questions from around the world. Okay.
All right.
There you have it. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today, Mr. Pete Stahl. Get your questions together. Go weird. Go deep. Get weird. We have a willing victim today. So let's get into it. We are sponsored by blah, 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 and the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Riley, Ringo Starr, and of course, my friends and yours, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.texassilverrush.com. Last but not least, Mario and Kim Upstate Records is a New York-based DIY independent metal and hardcore label founded in 2017. They broke into the scene with their inaugural 26-band compilation and since then have churned out close to 100 releases in their brief 5-year history. With such notable artists as Leeway, NYHC, Sub-Zero, Brick by Brick, Figure 5 as part of their roster, they maintain a focus on elevating upcoming artists that have the work ethic to take their music to the next level. Upstate Records also has an extensive collection of distro items from labels from around the world and recently penned an exclusive distribution partnership with Century Media. Check them out at www.upstaterecordsnewyork.com. A couple more events coming up. Just want to mention on Sunday, April 7th here in New York City at our great sponsor, Generation Records location. Sunday, April 7th, I am moderating the Ray Capo From Punk to Monk book event. 1 week later, I am up at Bridge 9 Records on Saturday, April 20th, which just so happens to be Record Store Day. I am moderating the Ray Capo book event From Punk to Monk. There you go. Sunday, April 21st at the Bowery Electric, free all ages Sunday matinee, Fahrenheit 451, The Kings Never Die, Brick by Brick, The Car Bomb Parade, and Faded Line. Saturday, May 25th, it is our annual Memorial Day weekend show in our beloved Tompkins Square Park. Rebelmatic, Incendiary Device, it's going to jump off tonight, Non-Residents, Cartel, and Guitar Me of One. Rampage Fest 6 has been announced Sunday, June 2nd at the Bowery Electric. Free, all ages, 7 bands, 2 stages. Adrenaline OD is headlining the festivities along with Silence Equals Death, Daija, Blackout Shoppers, War Orphan, Iconicide, and No Compromise. So there you go. No excuses. There's a lot going on. Questions you have, things you may have thought about, burning desires, please post them in the chat room for our guest, Pete Stahl. Let's get down. Let's get down to it. Let's see. What do we got? An interesting one. Pete, have any of your bands ever played Lemoore in Brooklyn?
No, but never have. And I don't think any of us except maybe Harley had the hair for that.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that is one of the few clubs that we didn't play. I mean, we never played it. What's that place? My father's place out on Long Island.
My father's place in Rosslyn, Long Island.
Yeah. So
did you play there?
No, we never played there.
You know who played there? Black Flag with Minor Threat opening up.
Yeah. Wow.
How about that? Wait, I don't wonder if I have a flyer. That's crazy. Yeah, here it is. Son of a bitch. I got it. Get a load of this. May 31st. I guess this must be like 82 at my father's place in Rosslyn, Long Island. Black Flag and Minor Threat.
But that's before Henry was singing for them, I think. Or is that the tour that he started?
No, Henry was singing for them because there's pictures of Ian and Henry together.
Okay.
I'm assuming, hold on, that has to do with this. Wait, I'm not sure if what he's asking is, hold on, here, on this record, wait. Alan's asking, no. Okay, Building Dreams is an awesome song. Is it a nod to Martin Luther King? Can you shed some light on the track?
Wow. So talk about people pulling.
That's what we do here in the last 15 minutes to go big.
I mean, I think I have to like revisit the lyrics, to be honest. Like I have like books and books of lyrics. So that I actually like have to brush up on when we're getting ready to do a show. And so that would be one of those like feel good songs, like uplifting songs. And, I tend to like be on the optimistic side about things. And whether it be a song like This Side Up, that's not a straight edge song, but it's about being aware and coming back from struggles with alcohol or drugs or whatnot, and getting your head right. And that's kind of a theme that's kind of gone through different records and at different times. And so Building Dreams is one of those songs of that, that maybe it all stems from those early times when we were like, PMA and all that,
Sure.
Really, gave us, kind of like lit the path for us, So, life can be pretty dark a lot of the times. And I think being in a band is an opportunity to like kind of lose yourself. And people come into shows. I think people come to shows to lose themselves and to kind of like interact with their friends and maybe to experience the songs that they love, and communicating songs of hope and optimism are good ways to kind of connect and kind of create a feeling of joy that you can carry home.
I like it a lot, brother. You're talking my language, man. It's community and culture, and music is the tie that binds us together, man. It's important stuff. And your brother posted, and I want to put this picture up of your brother and another one of our great supporters who actually saw recently, Brian. Your brother says, "Hit Me was about Martin Luther King, not building dreams." So Hit Me apparently was about Martin Luther
Yeah,
King.
we actually used a snippet from one of Martin Luther King's, not so well known speeches, one of his speeches on Vietnam, and we put a little bit of that in that song.
Gotcha. Paul Stone asks, any chance of the Wool Rancho Luna recordings being released properly?
Actually, they were released, Paul. They were released by a label in Canada called Dynalone. There was a vinyl release, a double album, really nice packaging, and really cool set. But pretty small release. But we did release. There was quite a lot of material that we recorded at Rancho that never came out, and so that was an opportunity to get some of it out. Some of it's on vinyl, and some of it they released digitally too. So,
Okay.
I need to find if they have any more copies of that left. But you want to reach out to Dynalone Records.
Ray Hogan asks, who would you want to play yourself in a movie?
Robert Duvall.
Good one.
I mean, he's a pretty good dancer and he's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, good one. Giz Butt weighing in with, hey guys, can I ask you a question? Can you give me any info regarding the band Blast? Pete mentioned the guitarist on a screen post, and I heard their very first album today. Very Black Flag. Any info on them?
Oh my
God.
God.
They're out of the Black Flag camp, basically. They're an SST band out of the Black Flag camp, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't realize. I guess Giz is obviously on the internet because he's saying a question, but there's no sound blackout over there in England. I mean, but Blast came out of that Santa Cruz hardcore scene, Giz, yep. And they actually came out of a band called MAD from there, and another band as well. And Clifford Densmore, good friend of ours, a great singer. He fronts that band, and they're still playing. Yeah. Mike Niter on guitar, Dave Jordan, is that his name? On bass, the original bass player. I may be mistaken there. I apologize. They've had some. This guy Steve on guitar, which I did post a picture of Franz or something recently, and you can see him in the corner of it. So really killer band. Bill on drums. They're a great band. Bill was the original drummer, but Joey C's playing drums for him now.
Got it. I'm sorry. This might be public knowledge, but it wasn't to me until I was doing my homework. Did Dave Grohl write My Hero about you?
I don't know.
Have you ever heard that before? Have you ever been asked that before?
I've heard that before. Dave's one of my heroes.
Yeah. I just read somewhere that and I think that's pretty amazing if he did. It's a great song.
Well, he's got a good publicist.
Right.
Wasn't his publicist in a New York hardcore band? Come on. Does anyone out there know that?
Oh, Steve Martin?
That's right.
Yeah. Steve Martin. Well, Steve Martin was in the FUs and then he was in Agnostic Front. That's right. Yep. Yeah. Okay. What else we got? Let's see. Dave's book is amazing. He's got some great stories. Okay. Michelle asks, not sure if this has been asked, but any future Scream shows again in the States? I was sick the last show and missed my hometown vibe.
Yeah, we're hoping to pick up this Scream Soulside collaboration on the road later this year. So we have some touring to do over in Europe. Like I was saying, we're playing in the UK in March, and we actually got some shows opening up for No Effects in Germany in May. And then we're trying to put together a run with Soulside later this year. So which we've had a lot of fun this past year playing with them, up the West Coast and East Coast, playing with a lot of cool local bands too.
Yeah, Johnny Temple was on the show recently, and there's a guy that's got his hands in a couple of things as well. He's got it going on.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And he's a handsome man too.
I think he just didn't. Speaking of
all those guys in Soulside are handsome. That's why we have them on the road with us.
Right. If I look good, you look good, right? If you look good, I look good. Well, there's a tie-in with this guy coming on, right? I think Johnny put out.
There's another bald-headed singer. You're not going to talk smack about him, are you?
Not at least till he gets on. I think Johnny put out Glennie Friedman's book, the Minor Threat book. I think Johnny put that out, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the. Did he put out the Black Flag book that he did? I think so.
Yeah, I know he put out the Minor Threat book because I went to the event here in the city, and it was a great event. It was a great event. Lyle and Brian did the Q&A. It was really good.
That's cool.
It was fantastic. What does the future hold for Pete Stahl? Looking down that long winding road, what are you looking at down the road?
Well, I'm looking at focusing on more, music with Scream. We spent a lot of time putting this record together, so I want to spend some time focusing on playing shows behind it. Been working on a project with Dave Ketchens and a guy named Paul Frazier out at the Rancho, kind of celebrating the 30 odd years of that studio and hoping that we can bring that to fruition and maybe play some shows behind it. And just kind of, picking up the odd touring job here and there, maybe. So it's kind of, I'm pretty lucky with how things have turned out for me. And so I just, kind of going to enjoy it.
Now that I know that you're in, where you are,
in
Brooklyn, I'm gonna hawk you to come down to see us play.
Well, yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed the show that at St. Vitus got to see y'all, and we should play some shows together.
Absolutely. Let's do just one.
It's good to see Verbal Assault too, and then you mentioned Rebelmatic on one of your breaks there. There's such a great new scene, that happened, and that we've been, luckily I got turned on to it. Through Flora from Mafa, and that
was synchronicity. The second you said that, her comment popped up. Love you.
Man!
The second you said that, it popped up in the chat room.
There you go. Well, Steve's family. She's from Washington D.C. area too, but lives here in some great bands and a great organizer in the scene up here. So, and she's turned me on to some of the new bands like Rebelmatic.
Love Rebelmatic. Those are my boys. Love them. Dan asks, any more from Orquesta?
Orquesta, yeah, that's that band I was telling you about. I know that they're repackaging and putting it out, but man, really the reason why I did that project was to be in a band with Mario Lally.
There you go.
You're familiar with that guitar player. He has a band called Fatso Jetson. That's really how that project came around for me, and it was really fulfilling. And I don't know if we'll ever go back to doing something, but I'd be open to it.
Makes sense. And Flora says, Uncle Kent, may he rest in power. Absolutely.
Yes.
What does that mean? Dollar bus video, Pete, Drew? oh, that's your brother.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I was telling you how some of the sights and sounds of Flatbush, kind of ended up in some of our music. And one of the songs on the new record, Tum Tum, just, kind of a, love story, kind of, little bit out of character for us, but there's something specific to this neighborhood. I'm sure familiar with it, which is called the dollar bus or the dollar van that goes up and down Flatbush, where you can get
they're like a dangerous yet necessary evil when you live anywhere near Flatbush Avenue.
That's right, and it's full of culture, y'all. You know what I mean?
It's full of culture.
So put some of the sounds in that song, and we would like to do some sort of visual on that song, and that it would have to take place here if we do it. So that's what my brother's talking about. And there you go.
You know what? I want in on that one. That's like my wheelhouse. Like it's out there. I'm down.
Okay.
Yeah, call me Frod. That's like, I like it. I like it a lot. I only do videos now if it's just really fucked up. If it's a fucked up weird thing, I'll do it. I'll come out of music video retirement for it. That's a good one. I like that a lot. Yeah, call me. So that said, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We had a couple of laughs, and that is the real currency. In this life. All right, I'll listen. Which track do I need to listen to?
Tum Tum.
Tum Tum. Okay. Yeah. Right. Look who just showed up at the party. What's up? There he is. I know I missed everything, but a great show.
Well, remember, this whole day started, I told you when I was late, I told you it was scream time. So there you go.
Right.
Perfect example of that.
Right. Yeah. Paulie, yes, thank you, Paulie. Thanks for speaking. I got it, Tum Tum. And for those that are late to the party and may not actually be in this band, the new record's called DC Special. It's on Discord Records. It is a fantastic record. It's really eclectic, a lot of different stuff on it. I really enjoyed it, man. So get out there and check it out. Anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to thank?
Well, I do want to shout out to my friend Jesse Mallon. Maybe he's listening, and and Johnny Carco, and those guys that were involved with the New York hardcore scene, like yourself, and who were people that met early on when we came up here, and another person that Jesse introduced me to, like you already mentioned, Todd Youth. It would be Howie Pyro, and who also I kind of got to know at the Viper Room, even though our paths had crossed here in New York years before. But I do want to shout out those people and Kent Stacks and the people that are not here right now, and because I just never want to forget where we're from and where we came from, and I want to bring them with us as we move forward.
Absolutely. Paul Stone, great conversation, and thank you for almost 40 years of inspirational music. So there you go.
You got it, brother.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon, and I'll be in touch. And you're
playing on February 8th too, right?
No, we're this is a big show. If you, I'll reach out. But we're doing the Bowery. We do these one a month. We do these Bowery, these free all ages Sunday matinees at Jesse's place, the Bowery Electric, which, by the way, is right next to the old Great Gildersleeves, a block away from CBGB's. But there's a lot of, it's a celebration. It's the everybody gets together.
Awesome.
It's all ages. God forbid you guys wanted to play one of these, you just let me know, man. I'll make it happen. But we're doing this with non-residents. And The Long Wait, which has Jamie from SSD Control and some of the guys that used to be in Slapshot and the old singer for Wrecking Crew. This is a great bill. This is going to be a banging show. I'll reach out to you and invite you down,
All right.
I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Thank you.
All right.
Take care. Bye. Well, there you have it. Woo! Hey, you know what I wanted to mention? This is coming up on this Sunday. This is a good one. This Sunday at Generation Records is Coffee with Stigma. Vinny Stigma, the limited edition Stigma bobblehead. There's going to be coffee and come hang with Vinny Stigma and buy the Vinny Stigma bobblehead. Of course, this is at our great sponsor, Generation Records, come through this weekend. Thank you, Alan. It was a great show. Great show. Yes, I heard Stigma just did a country album. Thank you, Paul Stone. Yep. And Gary, thank you. It was a great show. It's what we do. We're in the business of doing great shows, my friends. Thank you, Dan. Thanks for stopping by. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And there you go, Enoch. What's up, brother? Late, but happy to see you nevertheless. You know, I did not hear the Stigma Country album. Flora, what's up? That was heavy. That was like synchronicity. The second he said your name, your comment popped up. It was really great. You know, it was really great. So there you go. We're all in tune here. Getting in tune to the straight and narrow. Next show coming up this Wednesday, yay, is Mike from I Hate God. And 1 week from today, come on now. Seriously, 1 week from today, it's going down. You know, let your whole family know. You know, tell that neighbor down the hall. This is going to be a big one. This is a big one. This is a big one for me, personally. I'm excited about this one. You know, 305 shows in. We finally gaffed them and we're pulling them on the boat, kids. You know, yeah, take off that day from work, mortgage your friggin' house. You know, tell them you got COVID. You know, leave that kid at school. Let the teacher, you know, don't even pick up your kids at school. Just stay home and watch this. You know, yeah, the Mike show is going to be good. Mike's great. Good, Dan. We'll see you there. So there you go. Lots going on. I'll see you on Sunday, or I'll see you at the Stigma event, right? There you go. Thanks a lot, everybody. You put joy in my life, and I mean that. Until next time, do good things, and good things will come to you.